So I'm thinking of beginning a new series about Python tutorials, but this time I'm going to use actual examples that I've written in class in high school, and you can interpret them, and I'll try to explain in depth what's going on and how the program runs, and then I'll show you how it runs. Okay, so this first slide is it's not messy. I mean, it just has a lot of comment lines on it, and I'm going to remove them. I had to upload them for my teacher when he looked at the code, but when I explained it to you guys, I don't think I need it, so I'm going to remove all the comments and just show the pure code. Okay, so I removed all the lines of comment codes, and now we just have the pure code aside from the lines 19 through 21. That's just a longer comment section that I didn't get rid of. And lines 1 and 2, I import two functions. One I import from future import print function. I'm actually importing the print function of Python 3.0. That's what that means. And that's the syntax for how to do it. And then the second one, I'm just importing the random functions already preset into this Python editor and runner called Canopy. The next line says it creates a function. It defines a function actually, which is guess game, and then you have open parentheses, close parentheses, colon, and that means once you run it, all you have to do to actually run that function or whatever is just put in that. You don't have to put in. You could have a variable being stuck between those parentheses, and then you could call the variable later down the function. If you wanted to use that variable you plugged in to call something that happened with other variables, but it's not necessary for this function. So when it first starts, real number is a variable which is set to a random integer. That's a random.randint between 1 and 6,000. So it could be any integer, any whole number between 1 and 6,000. And then the other variables tries, it's set to equal 1. Guess is another variable, which is an integer, which is a raw input that's set to an integer, so that after you guess, it asks for a raw input with the string inside, which is parentheses guess, exclamation point, and then close parentheses is the text that displays, and then there's a space in there, and then you can put an integer there, and it will call it later on in the function. The next part is a while loop, which basically checks, does guess equal real number? If not, then it goes to line 9 or 13 with the if statements, and then if guess is greater than real number, print guess is too high, and then put guess equals integer raw. Basically it asks for it does the whole what line 7 did and just asks for another guess. And then tries, it just increases the try counter by 1. Why you had to put tries equals 1 in the first place and not just tries equals 0 is because the first try didn't happen until you did one try already. So this is the second of the ones. So then it goes to another one, and if it's less than real number, if guess is less than real number, it prints guess is too low, prints basically the number guess is too low, and then does the same thing as ask for another guess, and tries to count it up by 1. At the end, finally, if the while loop is invalid, meaning guess equals real number, it doesn't care about the while loop at all, goes all the way down to the next non-indented line of code from the while loop line down, and it sees the print function, and it just says print write my number is comma real number comma string, meaning you guessed in, comma an integer for the amount of tries, comma and then another string guesses, and that's it. And you will see it run in a second. Okay, so I ran the function, yet nothing's happening, and that's because, and you can tell it's ran because at the bottom ln1 has the run, and it shows that the program has run. But the reason it's not running is because we didn't call any function yet. So you actually have to, and here's the next slide, and for this slide you have to actually call guess game, and then after you do that it will ask for a raw input guess, and then you can put an integer in it. Now it will give you an error if you put any other data type except an integer. So if you put a floating point or a string, it's going to give you an invalid error because the data type does not match up with what you specified it should be. Okay, so this is the final part where it shows me guessing quite a few numbers. This is kind of far down the thing because I guessed quite a few times, so I guessed 15 times, but it's only showing the last 5 or 6 or so guesses. But you can see how it's working. So you guess, it then prints another line right under it, and then if that's not, and then it asks for another guess, and it does that repeatedly while in the while loop. And the while loop can basically run forever, so you continuously enter a number 5, let's say number 5, and the real number is 8. You can continue to put in the number 5 again and again and again and again, and it will never say you got the right answer. So it's important to know. While loops, you get into some errors sometimes because you create a condition, or you put a while loop when you should have kind of put a for loop, and you get something that happens, so it continuously goes on forever and ever, and you basically have to cancel the kernel, or you have to stop the run program, or try to exit out quickly. And it's not good if you haven't saved your material yet, so I would always say save quickly and save often. Okay, so aside from that, I think this is the end to this video, and I think I will try to introduce more different examples of real code in Python, at least the examples we were taught in class. Goodbye.